The Discovery. The sleek exploration vessel, Curiosity's Child, glided silently through the inky void of space, its hull gleaming under the light of a distant sun. Inside, Dr. Elena Reeves peered intently at the holographic display, her eyes widening as new data streamed in from the planet below. "Captain Thorne, you need to see this," she called out, her voice tinged with excitement and disbelief. Captain Jared Thorne floated over, his movements graceful in the low gravity of the bridge. "What have you found, Doctor?" Elena manipulated the hologram, zooming in on a section of the planet's surface. "These energy readings, they're off the charts. And look at this structure. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered." The hologram revealed a massive, partially buried complex. Its architecture was alien and yet strangely familiar, all sweeping curves and impossible angles that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Thorne's brow furrowed. "Any signs of life?" Elena shook her head. "None that we can detect. But Captain, the energy signature, it's pulsing, almost like it's calling to us." Thorne considered for a moment, then nodded decisively. "Prep the landing team. We're going down there." Hours later, Elena stood on the planet's surface, her breath fogging the inside of her helmet as she stared up at the towering structure before her. The landing party, consisting of herself, Captain Thorne, Security Chief Zara Vex, and Engineer Koji Tanaka, looked like ants in comparison to the massive edifice. "It's beautiful," Koji whispered, his voice filled with awe. Zara, ever vigilant, kept her hand near her weapon. "Beautiful, maybe, but I don't like it. Something feels off." As they approached, sections of the structure began to glow with a soft, blue light. Panels shifted and realigned, as if the building itself was waking up after a long slumber. "It's responding to our presence," Elena said, her scientific mind racing with possibilities. "This level of adaptive technology, it's far beyond anything in known space." They reached what appeared to be an entrance. Symbols etched into the material began to shimmer and change, rearranging themselves before their eyes. Kochi gasped. "Those symbols, they're turning into Earth languages. Look, there's English, Mandarin, Arabic." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. That's impossible. How could an alien structure know Earth languages? Captain Thorne stepped forward, his face a mask of determination. "Only one way to find out. Koji, can you get us inside?" The engineer nodded, approaching a panel that had transformed into what looked like an interface. His fingers danced over the controls, and with a low hum, an opening appeared in the seemingly solid wall. As they entered, lights flickered to life, illuminating a vast chamber filled with technology that was both alien and eerily familiar. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing star maps and schematics that made Elena's head spin. "This can't be," she murmured, approaching one of the displays. "These star charts, they're accurate to our current stellar cartography, but they show human settlements in regions we've never explored." Zara's voice cut through the air, sharp with alarm. "Captain, we've got company." Outside, a sleek alien ship had appeared in the sky, its design predatory and unmistakably hostile. Energy weapons began to charge, targeting the human vessel and the structure. "Everyone inside now," Thorne ordered, ushering his team deeper into the complex. As the alien weapons fired, the structure responded. A shimmering energy field enveloped the entire complex, effortlessly absorbing the attack. Inside, the team watched in amazement as the building's systems came fully to life, displays showing the alien ship and a myriad of defense options. "It's a fortress," Koji said in wonder. "A human fortress, out here in uncharted space." Elena's mind raced as she tried to piece together the implications. But how? And why don't we know about this? Before anyone could respond, a new hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a human figure, dressed in a uniform none of them recognized. The figure began to speak, its voice echoing through the ages. "To those who have found this outpost, welcome home. I am Admiral Evelyn Chen of the Earth Expansion Initiative. If you're seeing this message, it means humanity has finally returned to the stars. What you've discovered is not just a relic, but a key to humanity's forgotten legacy among the stars." The team exchanged shocked glances as the hologram continued. "We built this fortress and others like it as humanity expanded across the galaxy. But we faced threats we couldn't have imagined. This facility contains the history of our triumphs and our retreats. It holds the key to technologies we developed in our darkest hours." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the complex. The hologram flickered and changed, showing the alien ship outside launching landing craft. "Hostiles incoming," Zara reported, readying her weapon. Captain Thorne looked around at his team, seeing a mix of fear and determination on their faces. "Looks like we've stepped into something bigger than we ever imagined. But whatever's out there, whatever's coming for us, we'll face it. Because that's what humans do." Elena nodded, her scientific curiosity overridden by a surge of pride and purpose. They had discovered not just an alien relic, but a piece of humanity's lost history. And now it was up to them to uncover the truth and face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the sounds of alien invaders echoed through the complex, the team prepared for battle, ready to defend this piece of human legacy against whatever the galaxy might throw at them. The fortress hummed with power, its ancient systems ready to be wielded by human hands once again. The adventure had only just begun, and the fate of humanity's place among the stars hung in the balance. Unlocking the secrets. The distant boom of explosions reverberated through the ancient structure as Captain Thorne and his team raced deeper into its maze-like interior. Holographic displays flickered to life around them, showing the alien forces attempting to breach the fortress's defenses. "Koji, see if you can interface with the security systems," Thorne ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Zara, find us a defensible position. Elena, I need you to decipher as much of this technology as you can. We need to understand what we're dealing with." As the team split up to their tasks, Elena found herself drawn to a central console. Its design was unlike anything she'd ever seen, yet somehow intuitive. As her fingers danced across its surface, the air around her shimmered, and suddenly she was surrounded by a three-dimensional star map of the galaxy. "This is incredible," she breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's showing human expansion across the stars, far beyond anything in our historical records." The map zoomed in on a particular sector, highlighting a network of fortresses similar to the one they now occupied. Dates flashed across the display, indicating a period of rapid human advancement and colonization nearly 1,000 years in the past. Meanwhile, Koji had managed to access the fortress's defensive systems. "Captain, I've got good news and bad news," he called out. "The good news is this place has enough firepower to hold off an armada. The bad news is most of the systems are in standby mode, and I can't figure out how to fully activate them." Thorne frowned, his mind racing through their options. "Keep working on it. There has to be a way to." His words were cut off as the entire structure shuddered. Zara's voice crackled over the comm. "Multiple breaches detected. They're inside the outer perimeter." Just then, a new hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. It was Admiral Chen again, her expression grave. "If you are seeing this message, it means the fortress is under attack. To unlock its full capabilities, you'll need to prove yourselves worthy inheritors of humanity's legacy." The hologram gestured, and a series of puzzles and challenges appeared on nearby consoles. These tests will evaluate your problem-solving skills, your understanding of advanced physics, and your ethical decision-making. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to innovate and adapt. Show us that you still possess these qualities. Elena exchanged a determined look with her teammates. "We don't have a choice. Let's do this." As they worked furiously to solve the puzzles, the hologram of Admiral Chen began to narrate the history of human expansion. In the 24th century, humanity unlocked the secrets of faster-than-light travel. We spread across the stars, establishing colonies and outposts. For a time, It seemed the galaxy was ours for the taking. The star map shifted, showing humanity's rapid expansion. But we were not alone. We encountered other species, some friendly, others hostile. And then, we found them. The hologram showed a terrifying image of a vast, shadowy entity that seemed to devour light itself. We called them the Void Eaters. They were ancient, powerful, and hungry. They saw our expansion as a threat and moved to eradicate us. As the team worked, they were treated to flashes of humanity's desperate struggle against this cosmic horror. They saw great battles among the stars, heroic last stands, and heart-wrenching retreats. We fought back with everything we had. Chen's voice continued. We developed technologies that pushed the boundaries of physics. We forged alliances with other species who feared the Void Eaters. But it wasn't enough. The map showed humanity's territory shrinking, colony after colony going dark. In our darkest hour, we conceived of Project Firewall. We would build a network of fortresses hidden throughout the galaxy. Each one contained the sum of human knowledge, our most advanced weapons, and seeds for a new civilization. Then, we retreated. Elena gasped as she realized the implications. We erased our own history, she whispered, hid ourselves away, and hoped that one day we'd be strong enough to return. As if in response to her realization, the final puzzle clicked into place. The fortress hummed with new energy, systems coming online all around them. Well done, the hologram of Chen said, a proud smile on her face. You've proven yourselves worthy. The fortress is now fully at your command. Use it wisely, for the fate of humanity rests in your hands. With a flash, the hologram disappeared, leaving the team in stunned silence. The moment was broken by Zora's urgent voice over the comm. Captain, we've got multiple hostiles converging on our position. Whatever you've done in there, I hope it helps, because we're about to have company. Thorn straightened, a new fire in his eyes. Koji, give me weapons control. Elena, see if you can access any data on these aliens. Zara, fall back to our position. It's time to show these invaders what humanity is capable of. As Zara sprinted into the room, sealing the door behind her, the walls around them seemed to melt away, replaced by a 360-degree view of the battlefield outside. Alien craft swarmed around the fortress, their weapons leaving scorch marks on the energy shields. This is incredible, Koji breathed, his hands flying over the weapons controls. With each gesture, defensive turrets responded, unleashing salvos of energy that cut through the alien ships like paper. Delina, meanwhile, had accessed the fortress's database. Captain, I got information on our attackers. They're called the Skithril, a warrior race from a nearby star system. They'd been expanding aggressively, conquering less advanced worlds. Well, they've bitten off more than they can chew this time, Thorn growled. Koji, target their command ship. A massive beam of energy lanced out from the fortress, slicing the alien flagship in two. The remaining Skithril ships scattered, clearly unprepared for such devastating firepower. As the immediate threat receded, the team allowed themselves a moment of relief, but Elena's expression remained troubled. Captain, she said slowly, there's something else you need to see. She brought up a long-range scan on the main display. At first, it showed only empty space, but as it zoomed out, a massive dark shape became visible, blotting out the stars. Is that? Thorn's voice trailed off, unable to comprehend the scale of what he was seeing. Elena nodded grimly. A Void Eater. And it's heading straight for this sector. The weight of their situation settled over the team. They had unlocked humanity's forgotten legacy, but in doing so, they had attracted the attention of the very threat their ancestors had hidden from. So what do we do now? Zara asked, her usual bravado subdued. Thorn looked at each of his team members in turn, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also the determination. We do what humans have always done, he said firmly. We fight. We innovate. We survive. He turned to the star map, now showing the network of hidden human fortresses scattered throughout the galaxy. And we're not going to do it alone. It's time to wake up the rest of humanity's sleeping giants. As if in response to his words, a new alert flashed on the display. Other fortresses were coming online, responding to their activation. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden legacy was stirring to life. The fortress rumbled around them, its ancient engines powering up. Outside, the planet's surface began to crack and shift as the true scale of the structure became apparent. It wasn't just a fortress. It was a starship, a vessel of unimaginable power designed to face the greatest threats the universe could offer. As the fortress ship rose from its millennia-long slumber, Alina couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and exhilaration. They were about to embark on a journey that would rewrite history, facing threats beyond imagination. But they were human, and if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was beating the odds. The fortress broke free of the planet's atmosphere, its systems fully awakened and humming with power. Before them lay the vast expanse of space, filled with both peril and promise. Captain Thorne's voice rang out, filled with determination. Plot a course to the nearest allied fortress. It's time to rebuild the empire our ancestors left behind, and face the darkness that comes for us all. As the fortress ship engaged its FTL drive, leaving a trail of stardust in its wake, the team couldn't help but feel that this was only the beginning of their grand adventure. Humanity's lost legacy had been found, and with it, a new chapter in the cosmic struggle was about to unfold. The Gathering Storm. The fortress ship Legacy, as Captain Thorne had dubbed it, cut through the fabric of space-time, its ancient FTL drive humming with power that defied modern understanding. Inside the command center, the crew worked tirelessly, each coming to terms with the monumental revelations of the past few days. Alina's fingers danced across holographic displays, her mind racing to process the vast amounts of data now at her disposal. "Captain," she called out, her voice tinged with excitement and worry, "I've managed to decrypt more of the historical archives. The scope of humanity's former empire. It's staggering." Thorne floated over, his eyes widening as he took in the galactic map. Countless stars pulsed with the blue light of human influence, spreading across entire spiral arms. "My God," he breathed. "We weren't just an interstellar species. We dominated the galaxy." "Not just dominated," Alina corrected, her voice hushed. "We were its guardians. Look at this." She brought up a new overlay, showing vast sections of the galaxy encased in what appeared to be energy fields. These were containment zones. Our ancestors were holding back threats most of us can't even imagine. Zara, who had been listening intently, frowned. "And when we retreated, we left the galaxy vulnerable." Koji finished, his usual cheerful demeanor subdued. The weight of this realization settled over the crew like a shroud. Their ancestors' retreat hadn't just been an act of self-preservation. It had been a galaxy-wide abandonment of duty. Thorne's jaw set in determination. "Well, we're back now, and we've got a lot of work to do." He turned to Koji. "What's our ETA to the nearest allied fortress?" The engineer consulted his instruments. "At our current speed, about 6 hours, Captain." "But," he hesitated, his brow furrowing. "Spit it out, Koji," Thorne encouraged. "We're being followed. Multiple signatures matching the energy profile of those Skithral ships we encountered. They're gaining on us." Zara immediately moved to the weapons console. "Should we engage, Captain?" Thorne considered for a moment, then shook his head. "No, our priority is linking up with the other fortresses. We can't afford to be delayed." He paused, a glint appearing in his eye. "But we can't let them follow us to the rendezvous either. Koji, can you get me ship-to-ship communications?" Minutes later, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing the angular, insectoid features of a Skithral commander. Its compound eyes gleamed with malice as it regarded the humans. "Thieves," it hissed in a raspy approximation of English. "You steal our prize. Return the fortress, or be destroyed. Thorn stood tall, exuding an air of authority that belied the anxiety churning in his gut. This fortress is not yours to claim. It's a legacy of my people, and we've returned to reclaim it. The Skithral's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Your people, we have studied the ruins on that world for centuries. There was no sign of your kind. That's because we didn't want to be found. Thorn replied coolly. But now we're done hiding. This is your only warning. Break off your pursuit. What you're chasing is beyond your comprehension. The alien commander's eyes narrowed. You dare threaten the might of the Skithral Dominion. We will take your fortress, and then we will find your homeworld and... Thorn cut the transmission with a gesture. Well, diplomacy was worth a shot. Koji, how long until they're in weapons range? At their current speed, about 20 minutes, Captain. Thorn nodded grimly. All right, time for Plan B, Alina. I need you to dig into those archives. Find me something we can use. A weapon, a tactic, anything that might give us an edge without slowing us down. As Alina immersed herself in the fortress's databanks, the rest of the crew prepared for battle. Zara ran weapon simulations, familiarizing herself with the awesome destructive potential at her fingertips. Koji fine-tuned the ship's systems, coaxing every ounce of power he could from the ancient engines. With minutes to spare, Alina's voice cut through the tension. I've got something. It's either brilliant or insane. Thorn managed a wry smile. In my experience, the best plans are often both. What have you found? Alina brought up a schematic on the main display. It's called a quantum entanglement disruptor. In simple terms, it creates a field that severs the quantum links holding matter together at a subatomic level. Zara whistled low. That doesn't sound simple at all. The effect is temporary, Alina continued, but while it's active, it would render the Skithral ships virtually inoperable. Their atoms would maintain their relative positions, but they'd be unable to interact normally. No weapons, no shields, no engines. Thorn's eyes gleamed, and no permanent damage. They'd be adrift, but their crews would survive. Alina nodded. That's the theory, at least. It's never been tested in actual combat. No time like the present, Thorn decided. Koji, can you get this weapon online? The engineer's fingers flew across his console. Already on it, Captain. Charging now. We'll have one shot before it needs to recharge. The minutes ticked by with excruciating slowness. Finally, Zara's console lit up with proximity warnings. Skithral fleet entering weapons range. They're charging weapons. Thorn's voice rang out, clear and confident. Koji, fire the QED. A pulse of scintillating energy burst from the legacy, expanding outward in a shimmering wave. As it washed over the Skithral ships, their energy signatures fluctuated wildly before settling into a dim, steady glow. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the alien vessels began to drift, their formation breaking apart as momentum carried them in different directions. It worked, Alina breathed, her voice filled with awe. They're completely inert. Thorn allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before refocusing. Excellent work, everyone. But we're not out of the woods yet. Koji, get us back to FTL. We need to reach that rendezvous point. As the Legacy leaped back into faster-than-light travel, leaving the disabled Skithral fleet behind, the crew's elation was tempered by the knowledge of the challenges that still lay ahead. Hours later, they emerged from FTL in a system dominated by a red giant star. Floating serenely in orbit around a barren moon was another fortress ship, its design a mirror image of the Legacy. We're being hailed, Koji reported. The view screen came to life, revealing a face that made the entire crew gasp. It was Admiral Evelyn Chen, not a hologram this time, but very much alive and virtually unchanged from the historical records. Welcome back to the fight, she said, a hint of a smile playing at her lips. I was beginning to think we'd have to face the Void Eaters alone. Thorn, recovering quickly from his shock, stepped forward. "Admiral Chen." "But how?" "Temporal stasis," she replied matter-of-factly. "A necessity when you're playing the long game against cosmic horrors. But we can discuss the details later. Right now, we have a galaxy to save and an empire to rebuild." As the Legacy docked with Chen's fortress, named Bastion, Thorn couldn't shake the feeling that they had just taken their first real step into a much larger universe. The revelations of the past few days paled in comparison to what lay ahead. Admiral Chen led them to a vast war room within Bastion. Holograms flickered to life, showing the status of other awakening fortresses across the galaxy. But it was the central display that drew everyone's attention, a massive, writhing shadow that blotted out entire star systems. "The Void Eater," Chen said grimly. "The one you inadvertently alerted when you activated your fortress. It's on the move, consuming everything in its path. And it's not alone." The display zoomed out, revealing dozens of similar entities emerging from the spaces between galaxies. Thorn felt a chill run down his spine as he realized the true scale of the threat they faced. "So," he said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his gut, "where do we start?" Chen's eyes gleamed with a mixture of determination and something that might have been hope. "We start by remembering who we are. Humanity faced this threat before, and we drove it back. We can do it again." She looked at each member of Thorn's crew in turn. "You've already proven yourselves worthy of our legacy. Now it's time to build on it." As Chen began to outline their strategy, Thorn exchanged glances with his crew. They were about to embark on a mission to save not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. The odds were overwhelming, the enemies beyond imagination. But they were human, and if there was one thing humans did better than anyone else in the cosmos, it was beating the impossible odds. As the briefing continued, the first streams of data began to flow in from other awakening fortresses. The ancient network was coming back online, humanity's lost children stirring from their long slumber. In hidden bases and forgotten outposts across the galaxy, men and women were awakening to a universe both familiar and utterly alien. The legacy of human achievement and sacrifice stretched out before them, a beacon of hope in the gathering darkness. And as Captain Thorn and his crew took their places in this reborn armada, they knew that the greatest adventure and the greatest challenge of human history was just beginning. The war for the galaxy's soul was about to begin, and humanity was determined to remind the cosmos why they had once been its guardians. The Void Eaters and their ilk had grown strong in humanity's absence, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson. Humanity was back, and they were done hiding. Echoes of Empire. The war room of Bastion hummed with activity as holographic displays flickered with real-time updates from across the galaxy. Captain Thorn stood beside Admiral Chen, his mind reeling as he tried to process the sheer scale of the operation unfolding before him. "We've reactivated approximately 60% of our fortress network," Chen explained, her fingers deftly manipulating the galactic map. Points of light winked into existence, representing awakened bastions of human power. "But we're in a race against time. The Void Eaters are advancing faster than we anticipated." Elena, who had been poring over historical data, looked up with a furrowed brow. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the records of our previous conflict with the Void Eaters. There's something I don't understand. If we had the power to drive them back before, why did we retreat? Why erase our history?" Chen's expression darkened. "A fair question, Dr. Reeves. The truth is complicated." She waved her hand, and a holographic display shifted to show scenes from the ancient war. Massive fleets clashed against writhing tendrils of darkness, worlds burned, and civilizations fell. "We did drive them back," Chen continued, her voice heavy with the weight of memory. "But the cost was astronomical. Entire sectors were rendered uninhabitable. Countless species were driven to extinction. And humanity." She paused, taking a deep breath. "We were changed by the conflict. The weapons and technologies we developed to fight the Void Eaters began to corrupt us. The display showed humans wielding terrifying energies, their bodies twisted and warped by power. We were becoming something other than human, something that, in time, might have been just as great a threat to the galaxy as the Void Eaters themselves. Thorn felt a chill run down his spine. So the retreat wasn't just about survival. It was quarantine. Chen nodded grimly. Precisely. We locked away our most dangerous technologies, erased the knowledge of how to use them, and went into hibernation. The hope was that when we reawakened, we would have a fresh start, the power to defend the galaxy, but without the corruption that nearly destroyed us. Zara, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, spoke up. And now we're about to unleash all that power again. How do we know we won't repeat the same mistakes? We don't, Chen admitted. But we don't have a choice. The Void Eaters are here, and if we don't stop them, there won't be a galaxy left to save. As if to underscore her point, alarms suddenly blared throughout Bastion. Koji rushed to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the controls. Multiple contacts emerging from FTL. It's a Sk'Throl battle fleet. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive array of alien warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. At their center was a vessel that dwarfed all others, a behemoth of impossible scale. Impossible, Thorn breathed. How did they find us so quickly? Chen's eyes narrowed. They must have followed your energy trail when you activated your fortress. I had hoped we'd have more time to prepare. The comm system crackled to life, and a familiar raspy voice filled the war room. Humans, the Sk'Throl commander hissed, you have stolen what is rightfully ours. Surrender your fortresses, or we will take them by force. Thorn stepped forward, his voice steady. You're making a mistake. We're not your enemy. There's a threat coming that will destroy us all if we don't stand together. The Sk'Throl's compound eyes gleamed with malice. Your lies do not deceive us. We have seen the records of your kind's brutality, the worlds you burned in your war against shadows. We will not allow such power to be wielded again. The transmission cut off abruptly. Chen turned to Thorn, her expression grim. It seems diplomacy is off the table. Captain, I need you and your crew to buy us time. Take the Legacy and engage the Sk'Throl fleet. Keep them occupied while we finish activating our defense grid. Thorn nodded, already moving towards the exit. Understood, Admiral. We'll give them a fight they won't forget. As Thorn and his crew raced back to the Legacy, Alina's mind was working overtime. Captain, she said as they reached the bridge, I have an idea. It's risky, but it might give us an edge. I'm all ears, Doctor, Thorn replied as he strapped into the command chair. Alina brought up a schematic on her console. The quantum entanglement disruptor we used earlier. I think I can modify it. Instead of simply disabling their ships, we could use it to establish a temporary quantum link between our systems and theirs. Koji's eyes widened as he grasped the implications. We could feed false sensor data directly into their ship's computers. Make them see things that aren't there. Or don't see things that are. Zara added with a predatory grin. Thorn nodded approvingly. Do it. Koji, get that QED modified. Zara, plot us an attack vector that'll give Alina the best shot at their flagship. The Legacy detached from Bastion, its ancient engines flaring to life as it accelerated towards the oncoming Sk'Throl armée. The space between the opposing forces lit up with weapons fire, energy beams, and plasma torpedoes crisscrossing the void. QED is charged and modified, Koji reported, his voice tense. We'll only get one shot at this. Thorn's hands tightened on the armrests of his chair. Take us in, full speed. Zara, clear us a path. The Legacy dove into the heart of the Sk'Throl fleet, its point defense systems working overtime to swat aside incoming fire. Zara's hands danced across her weapons console, unleashing salvas that shattered smaller Sk'Throl vessels and left larger ones reeling. We're in range, Alina called out, firing QED. Now, A pulse of scintillating energy burst from the Legacy, washing over the Scythril flagship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, chaos erupted across the enemy fleet. Scythril ships began firing on empty space, their sensors showing phantom threats where none existed. Others turned on each other, unable to distinguish friend from foe. The massive flagship listed to one side, its engines sputtering as conflicting commands raced through its systems. It worked. Koji exclaimed, his voice filled with disbelief and elation. Thorn allowed himself a small smile. Excellent work, all of you. Now let's press our advantage. Zara, target their command and control nodes. Belina, keep feeding them false data. Let's show them why humanity was once the guardian of this galaxy. The battle raged on, with the Legacy dancing through the Scythril formation, dealing devastating blows while remaining frustratingly elusive. But even as they fought, Thorn couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. This felt too easy, too familiar. His suspicions were confirmed when a new alert blared across the bridge. "Captain," Koji called out, his voice tight with worry. "I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the Scythril flagship. It's like nothing I've ever seen." The main view screen shifted, showing the behemoth vessel's hull beginning to crack and split. From within, a sickly green light poured out, coalescing into a form that made Thorn's blood run cold. "No," he whispered, "it can't be." But it was. Rising from the shattered remains of the Scythril flagship was a Void Eater, its tentacles writhing as it unfurled into the vastness of space. Alina's face had gone pale. They didn't follow us here, she realized. They were led here. The Scythril. They're already infected. As if in response to her words, the remaining Scythril ships began to change. Their hulls warped and twisted, sprouting organic growths that pulsed with the same sickly green energy. The Void Eater's influence was spreading, consuming the very fleet that had sought to claim humanity's legacy. "All ships, fall back to Bastion." Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "We've finished activating the defense grid. Get clear of the kill zone." Thorn didn't need to be told twice. "Koji, get us out of here, maximum speed." The Legacy turned and burned for Bastion, narrowly evading grasping tentacles of void stuff that reached for them. Behind them, the transformed Scythril fleet gave chase, their once orderly formation now a chaotic swarm driven by alien hunger. As they approached Bastion, the fortress ship's true power was revealed. Massive weapon arrays emerged from hidden recesses, energy building to levels that made the sensors scream in protest. "Brace for impact," Thorn called out. Bastion unleashed its fury. Lances of pure white energy sliced through space, carving through the infected Scythril ships like they were made of paper. Where the beams struck the Void Eater, space itself seemed to scream, reality warping around the points of impact. The Void Eater reeled back, clearly wounded but far from defeated. As the energy attacks subsided, it began to pull the remains of the Scythril fleet into itself, growing larger with each ship it consumed. "This isn't over," Chen's voice came through, tight with tension. "All ships, form up on Bastion. We're enacting Protocol Omega." Thorn exchanged worried glances with his crew. They had no idea what Protocol Omega was, but the gravity in Chen's voice made it clear that this was a last resort. As the Legacy docked with Bastion once more, Thorn could feel the ancient fortress humming with power. Whatever they were about to do, he hoped it would be enough. Because if it wasn't, humanity's second chance might well be its last. The Void Eater loomed before them, a living nightmare given form. But as Thorn looked around at his crew, at the determination in their eyes, he felt a flicker of hope. They had already accomplished the impossible once. Perhaps they could do it again. As Bastion's systems merged with those of the other activated fortresses, creating a network of power that spanned the sector, Thorn realized that this was more than just a battle for survival. It was a fight for redemption. A chance to prove that humanity could wield great power without succumbing to corruption. The final confrontation was about to begin, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Humanity's stand. The vast chamber at the heart of Bastion thrummed with energy as Captain Thorn and his crew joined Admiral Chen at the central command hub. Holographic displays flickered around them, showing the Void Eater's massive form writhing in space, tendrils of darkness reaching out hungrily towards the fortress. Protocol Omega, Chen began, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them, is our last line of defense, a weapon of unimaginable power, created from the very essence of space-time itself. She waved her hand, and a new hologram appeared, a complex, multi-dimensional structure that hurt the eyes to look at directly. We call it the Nexus Key. It has the power to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics within a localized area. With it, we can create a pocket universe where the Void Eaters cannot exist. Belena's eyes widened in awe and terror. That's beyond anything I could have imagined. The scientific implications alone are staggering, and the ethical ones are even more troubling, Zara added, her voice uncharacteristically subdued. We'd be playing God. Chen's expression hardened. We don't have the luxury of ethical debates right now. The Void Eater is consuming everything in its path. If we don't stop it here, countless worlds will die. Thorn stepped forward, his mind racing. You said this was our last line of defense. I'm guessing there's a catch. Chen nodded grimly. The Nexus Key requires an enormous amount of energy to activate, more than even Bastion can generate on its own. We'll need to siphon power from every activated fortress in the sector, and, she hesitated, it needs a human consciousness to guide it. Someone to shape the new laws of physics that will govern the pocket universe. A heavy silence fell over the group as the implications sank in. Whoever took on that role would be forever changed, possibly losing their humanity in the process. I'll do it, Thorn said without hesitation. Captain, no. Belena protested. We don't know what it'll do to you. Thorn turned to his crew, his eyes filled with determination. This is bigger than any of us. If there's a chance to stop the Void Eaters, to save the galaxy, I have to take it. Before anyone could argue further, alarms blared throughout Bastion. Koju rushed to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the controls. The Void Eater is attacking. Our outer defenses are failing. Chen's voice cut through the chaos. We're out of time. Captain Thorn, follow me. The rest of you, man your stations. Buy us as much time as you can. As Thorn followed Chen deeper into Bastion's core, the fortress shuddered under the Void Eater's assault. They reached a chamber unlike any Thorn had ever seen. A perfect sphere of swirling energy, with a single control podium at its center. This is the heart of the Nexus Key, Chen explained, leading Thorn to the podium. Once you're connected, you'll have access to the combined power of every fortress in the sector. Use it to create a reality where the Void Eaters cannot exist. Thorn placed his hands on the podium, feeling a tingling sensation race up his arms. How will I know what to do? Chen's expression softened for a moment. Trust in your humanity, Captain. That's what separates us from the horrors we face. Our ability to create, to imagine, to hope. Let that guide you. With a final nod, Chen stepped back. The sphere of energy contracted, enveloping Thorn in a cocoon of pure possibility. Thorn's consciousness expanded, connecting with the vast network of fortresses spread across the sector. He could feel the power flowing through him, raw and infinite. For a moment, he teetered on the edge of being overwhelmed, of losing himself in the immensity of it all. But then he heard them, whispers of humanity, the hopes and dreams of countless souls, preserved in the fortress's databanks, the legacy of an empire that had once stood against the darkness. Thorn drew strength from these echoes, using them to anchor himself. With newfound clarity, he turned his attention to the Void Eater. He could see it now, not just its physical form, but the very laws of physics that allowed it to exist. The creature was a living paradox, a being of anti-existence that fed on the very fabric of reality. Thorn began to weave a new tapestry of natural laws. He imagined a universe where entropy could be reversed, where light had substance and darkness was nothing more than an absence. He crafted fundamental particles that were anathema to the Void Eater's nature, building from the quantum level up to create a reality it could not tolerate. Outside the Nexus Key, the battle raged on. Elena, Koji, and Zera fought desperately to keep Bastion's defenses online, watching in awe as space itself began to warp and twist around the Void Eater. "Look!" Koji exclaimed, pointing at the main view screen. "It's changing." The Void Eater writhed in apparent agony, its form flickering and distorting as the new laws of physics took hold. Tendrils of darkness began to evaporate, turning into motes of light that swirled in beautiful, complex patterns. But the creature fought back with the fury of a cornered beast. It lashed out with the last of its strength, tearing rents in the very fabric of space-time. Cracks appeared in Bastion's hull, atmosphere venting into the void. "Hull breach in sectors 7 through 12. Zara reported, her hands flying over the weapon's controls. "We're losing power." Elena's mind raced. "We need to give the captain more time." "Koji, can you reroute power from life support? We can last on emergency reserves for a few minutes." Koji nodded grimly, making the necessary adjustments. The lights dimmed throughout Bastion, but the energy feeding into the Nexus Key surged. Inside the sphere of possibility, Thorn felt the influx of power. He pushed harder, refining his created laws, closing every loophole the Void Eater might exploit. But as he did so, he could feel his own humanity slipping away. The vast cosmic forces he was wielding threatened to burn away everything that made him who he was. In that moment of crisis, Thorn remembered Chen's words. He reached deep within himself, clinging to the core of his humanity. He thought of Earth, of the family he'd left behind. He remembered the wonder he'd felt when he first looked up at the stars as a child, dreaming of exploration and discovery. With a final, monumental effort, Thorn poured all of these quintessentially human experiences into his creation. The pocket universe he had crafted was no longer just a weapon against the Void Eater. It was a testament to humanity's spirit, their capacity for growth and change. Reality shuddered. The Void Eater let out a silent scream as its form began to unravel. But instead of simply ceasing to exist, it began to transform. The darkness gave way to light, the hunger for destruction replaced by the potential for creation. On Bastion's bridge, the crew watched in awe as the Void Eater collapsed in on itself, compressing into a sphere of pure, radiant energy. The sphere pulsed once, twice, and then exploded outward in a dazzling display of cosmic fireworks. Where the Void Eater had been, a new star was born. Around it, swirls of matter coalesced, forming the beginnings of planets and moons. Life, where once there had been only death and destruction. "He did it," Elena whispered, tears streaming down her face. "The captain actually did it." Admiral Chen's voice came over the comm, tight with emotion. "All stations report." "Is it over?" Zara checked her readings, a smile of disbelief spreading across her face. "Confirmed, Admiral. The Void Eater has been neutralized, and you're going to want to see this for yourself." As the immediate crisis passed, the crew rushed to the Nexus Key chamber. They found Thorn slumped over the control podium. The sphere of energy dissipated. For a heart-stopping moment, they feared the worst. But then Thorn stirred, slowly pushing himself upright. When he turned to face them, his eyes shimmered with an inner light that hadn't been there before. He looked simultaneously ancient and newborn, changed by his experience, but still undeniably human. "Captain." Elena approached cautiously. "Are you? Thorn smiled, the familiar warmth in his expression reassuring them all. "I'm me," he confirmed. "Just a little more than I was before." As the group made their way back to Bastion's bridge, Chen filled them in on the bigger picture. "Reports are coming in from across the sector. The pocket universe you created is expanding, Captain. It's pushing back the darkness, reclaiming territory we thought lost forever." The main view screen showed the newly born star system, already teeming with possibility. But beyond it, they could see other points of light flickering into existence. More Void Eaters being transformed, more cosmic horrors being turned into cradles of creation. So what happens now? Zara asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Thorn looked out at the vista of newborn stars, his enhanced perceptions allowing him to see the intricate web of possibility stretching out before them. Now, he said softly, we rebuild. We've been given a second chance. Not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. He turned to his crew, to the people who had stood with him through impossible odds. We once called ourselves the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's time to earn that title again. Not through dominance or fear, but through cooperation and understanding. Admiral Chen nodded in agreement. The age of hiding is over. We'll re-establish contact with Earth, with all our lost colonies. We'll reach out to other species, share our knowledge and our technology. Together, we'll build a future bright enough to keep the darkness at bay forever. As Bastion's engines hummed to life, preparing to take them on the first leg of their journey home, Thorn felt a profound sense of hope. They had faced the ultimate evil and emerged victorious, not by becoming monsters themselves, but by embracing the very best of what it meant to be human. The stars beckoned, each one a promise of new discoveries, new challenges, and new opportunities to prove that humanity deserved its place among them. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, carrying the legacy of their past and the boundless potential of their future. As Bastion leaped into FTL, leaving behind the newborn star system as a monument to their victory, Thorn knew that this was not an ending, but a beginning. The next chapter in humanity's grand cosmic adventure was about to unfold, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead them.